When Obergefell redefined marriage to include same-sex couples, it was billed as a win for adult equality. In reality, it created inequality for children.
But the kids aren't fine. The kids haven't been fine for quite some time.
You redefine marriage, you have just destroyed the house.
It is true that children do better when they have two parents in the household from their conception, but the idea that it's solely because they're biological parents is actually false.
Hey guys, welcome back to Normal Gays. I'm Brad Polumbo here with Clarkson Lawson.
What's up, guys? Now, before we get started, this video is going to make me a little bit somber because it's going to piss me off. But we have a very fun members-only video that if you join as a member, the link is going to be in the description and comments. You can see us and Blair White play Marry Kill.
It got really unhinged. I literally laughed the most I've ever laughed at one of these videos. So much so that I sweat through my shirt, had to put on a sweatshirt.
Yeah, that's why
so y'all didn't have to see my freaking sweat stains. Anyway, on a more serious, this is going to be a more serious video. We are going to talk about this big conservative coalition that just launched a campaign against gay marriage, but they kind of made it about something else entirely. So
they've shifted their messaging against gay marriage to be more appealing to the average person.
Yeah, in a way that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So we're going to get to it, but there's some big names involved here. There's Michael Knowles from the Daily Wire, Allie Beth Stuckey, Lila Rose, the pro-life activist, and some big groups like, I believe the Heritage Foundation is in on it and other things. Here's the video they put out. We'll probably show you about half of it because it's like 3 minutes, but it's pretty repetitive. So we'll just show you a little bit of this and then dissect it for y'all.
Marriage is actually the most basic institution of human civilization.
When Obergefell redefined marriage to include same-sex couples, it was billed as a win for adult equality. In reality, it created inequality for children. It made our children less than.
When you redefine marriage, you redefine parenthood. When you make mothers and fathers optional in parenthood law, children are harmed.
We now have these trite phrases like love makes a family, or all you need is just love. As long as your physical needs are met and someone is cheering you on, then apparently you'll grow up fine.
But the kids aren't fine. The kids haven't been fine for quite some time.
You redefine marriage, you have just destroyed the house. You can put together a new house and claim it's the same. Children will know the difference. It harms children in virtually every way imaginable.
We're prioritizing the fantasies of adults, no matter how earnestly those fantasies are felt, over the real needs and the real good of children.
The data that we have says two things. Number one, children do best when they are raised in a home with married, biological mom and dad. The other thing we know from research is that moms don't dad and dads don't mom. It's not enough to say kids just need loving parents because kids need a particular kind of parent. And parenting comes in two forms, moms and dads.
When you look at social science, it says beyond a shadow of a doubt that children that grow up in a loving two-parent biological home, mom and dad, those children will do best.
There is something primal about our relationship with the two people who gave us life.
Every single child, every single human being is the living embodiment of the relationship between exactly one man and one woman.
It's a mother and a father that bring forth children into the world, and that's by design, because those children need a mother and a father.
There's a lot wrong with that. First of all, the idea that that children do better when they have two biological parents in the household. It is true that children do better when they have two parents in the household from their conception. But the idea that it's solely because they're biological parents is actually false, because children who grow up with two parents in the household from their conception are actually, the studies show that they end up, what's the word? Faring off better.
Faring better.
Yeah,
so yeah,
faring better.
I mean, there is a lot of research on this and they're just not accurately describing it. I mean,
no, they'll say that the studies that show children from two-parent gay households, they'll say, oh, those studies are fabricated, but then they'll choose other studies
that have huge problems. Like they look at kids with gay parents, and then the reason the kid is faring worse is more likely because they're looking at divorced couples where a parent left the family, became gay or came out as gay, and they're looking at those people. When you compare apples to apples, which is a child raised by two loving male-female parents from birth, or a child raised by two same-sex parents from birth, the outcomes are as good, or even in some studies slightly better, but they're not worse for the child.
No.
Now, the more important aspect is actually just how insane this ad even is, because it is making gay marriage about something that is
Entirely.
not, like, is separate. I mean, there's obviously some overlap, but they're making it about the children as this emotional manipulation, rhetorical twist, because I guess they're thinking that most people will think that kids are worse off with gay people and not be familiar with the data on it or what have you. But the thing that makes no sense about that is that it has actually nothing directly to do with marriage. Whether they should have just, if they just want to ban gay families, make that your slogan.
Right.
Stop gay parenthood. But making it end Obergefell, end gay marriage, first off, you don't have to be married to have a child as a same-sex couple in America. You literally do not. Two lesbians can go have a sperm donation, have a child. They can adopt the child.
Yeah,
Two men can
marriage
adopt the child.
is not what made it.
Is not a requirement. People did it long before Obergefell. And if you got rid of gay marriage, it would still be allowed in every state as it is. You'd have to do something separate to ban it. And two, most gay people who get married don't even have children. It's about partnership rights. It's about tax status. It's about power of attorney and medical decision-making and the visitation rights and so many other things that they just don't even talk about or reckon with. The whole thing is like this remarkable conflation of two very distinct issues as a pretty blatant propaganda effort.
I mean, this is like textbook, like what people make fun of conservatives for, where they always say it's for the kids, and it's like really something that has nothing to do with kids. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I don't know. This just pisses me off so much that I'm kind of speechless because I end up getting so wound up. Because it's like, what pisses me off the most actually about this is that so many gay conservatives, and I'm going to go on a little tirade here, gay conservatives that I used to be friends with, their mouths are shut. They're like, oh, it's fine to be a gay conservative, blah, blah. And it is. You can be a gay conservative. But your job as a gay conservative is to call this type of stuff out to make your party welcoming to gay people.
Before it spreads. Because right now, this is just a fringe movement. Yeah. It's not going anywhere, but it could spread if you don't call it out and you don't push back on it and offer.
Like, what's the point of having gay representation and conservatism if you're just going to sit there and let them step dog all over you? Like, yeah, I don't get it.
I agree completely. We don't do that. I will also say I'm actually going to be interviewing someone from Heritage about this and talking to them, but I would love to know this. So their argument is that it is fundamentally evil and wrong and violates a child's rights for them not to have a mother and a father in any situation. And then gay marriage is bad because it's adjacent to legitimizing that in some way. Now, reality, like we said, it's distinct, but I'll give you guys a personal example. I have a dear friend who is she taught in a prison, actually, a juvenile prison. She's a teacher. She's a math teacher. Now she's teaching for a public school system. She is a remarkable, kind, fun young woman. She married one of my best friends. They're going to have kids. She's heterosexual. She was raised by two moms who had her in 1990, whatever, in Massachusetts. And by basically every metric, she's thrived. She was conceived they say it's wrong to have a child without a mother and a father by two women who had a sperm donation and had her as a child. They're literally saying like the world is better off if she doesn't exist.
Yeah, she doesn't exist.
They're saying the world they did something wrong by creating
projecting trauma
her
onto a group of kids that actually
most of them don't have it.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't mean to yap too much, but I'll just say this. I find it crazy for their argument taken to its extreme suggests that because the alternative is not a mythical world where my friend is born to a mother and a father. The alternative is she just doesn't get born.
She doesn't exist. Well, this is the same.
She doesn't exist. And then my friend, her parents just live into their old age without any children as a couple.
Well, this is the same arguments that they use for surrogacy, where they say like, oh, the child is going to be traumatized because they have two parents, blah, blah, blah. And while even studies don't back that up, it still comes down to the question is like, okay, why don't you ask the kids who are products of surrogacy? Like
if they'd rather not exist?
They'd rather, like, let's use Meghan Trainor as an example, because I just did a video on this. Meghan Trainor had a biological child given to her or given birth by a surrogate. It is her child. And they're saying that child shouldn't have been created. So when that child grows up, should you ask them, hey, Are you traumatized for not growing in your mother's womb? Or like, would you rather be dead? Like, trauma doesn't determine the value of life. This is the type of argument abortionists make. It's when they say, oh, well, you're going to be born into a poor family, just kill it.
Or in this case, in fairness, they're not saying kill it. They're saying never have it
They're
exist.
saying never, exactly. Right, but it's the same thing. They're saying that, like, abortionists will say that a life shouldn't be conceived because of its perceived circumstance. They're saying a life shouldn't be conceived because of its perceived circumstance.
And a
as
series
if
of
the human
assumptions they're
spirit
making about
can't
that.
overcome any type of trauma. And that's assuming that there is trauma.
Which is not. I don't agree
and
with
there's
that.
not. There's not. So it's also... We're talking about gay marriage. We're not talking about surrogacy. So then you start going down
different things.
You start going, like, even we start going down the pipeline to defend gay parents and all of that stuff.
Make your campaign.
Why aren't you banning divorce? Why aren't you banning divorce? Why aren't you banning poor people from having kids? Because we know divorce and being poor has terrible outcomes on children.
Deadass. Compare the outcomes for a child with two wealthy same-sex parents or poor people who never went to high school or never finished high school. It will be night and day.
If you were really worried about maximizing your effort on helping children, first you would start with straight people, because that's a community that you could actually have maximum effect with. And also, I hate to say it, you'd start with the church.
That's tea, actually.
Because that's where you have the most power. But instead, you don't want to clean your own house. You want to tell other people to clean theirs. And you want to endo Bergefell because gay people either make you uncomfortable, or Katie, your mom ended up being gay after she divorced your parents. The person behind all I know you don't.
Katie Faust, yeah.
The person behind all of this has misplaced her trauma with divorce onto gay people because she doesn't want to recognize how hard divorce can be on kids. Her parents got divorced. Her mom ended up gay. And now she's blaming the fact that her mom is gay for her trauma. And she's taking it out on gay people. It's sick.
I don't know about her situation. I don't
allegedly.
I don't really want to talk about her as an individual, but what I will say about that is that oftentimes when they do bring up studies that show, oh, kids fared worse with gay parents, it's exactly the situation you're describing, which ironically, if gay people had just been accepted in the first place, the parents never would have married a heterosexual marriage that wasn't truly right for them. And her solution is instead to try to make them, like, take away their rights and their equality. I mean, I find the whole thing genuinely bizarre. I also think it's like they really are overreading the moment as well.
Oh, yeah.
They think that because Americans are against transitioning kids and against trans women and women's sports, and because the pendulum is swinging, I guess we just, can we get rid of gay marriage
now's the time.
too? And I understand wanting to ride the wave of your momentum, but swinging the pendulum too far is clearly what they're trying to do to me. And I don't think most people are going to be on board with it. I'm sorry, I just don't, because
also the pendulum is swinging back already.
It's already swinging back, but the more they do this kind of thing, the more it will. The truth is, basically none of the predictions they warned about, legalize pedophilia, legalize bestiality, legalize polygamy. If you allow gay marriage, you'll have to allow people to marry 10 people. You have to allow people to marry dogs. None of it came true. They are against it still because of their personal convictions or deep-seated whatever beliefs, which I actually have no issue with as long as they keep to their own religious community or to their own life. Oh, I don't believe in gay marriage. I have an issue with it when they start trying to take away other people's rights through the government and deny them equal access to what is fundamentally, whether you like it or not, a government legal status for partnerships that is not directly tied to children and family having.
So it's like you're trying to tell a gay couple that doesn't plan to have kids that they shouldn't have what is it called? Power of attorney. What is it? What's the medical term?
Well, there's power of attorney is one thing. The tax benefits of marriage.
So you want to tell the gay couple who's not having kids, they've got 2 Shih Tzus. You want to tell them that if one of them ends up in a coma on their deathbed, that the other one shouldn't have control over what happens to their spouse. That's what they want to do. And that's their solution.
I have so many questions. Are they going to go around and confiscate the children from the same-sex parents? Because all across this country, there are tens of thousands of children being raised in happy, loving, supportive homes by same-sex parents.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely curious. Are they going to deploy the force of the government to go around and confiscate children? Or are they just going to ban it in the future and then just a whole generation of children won't exist or will stay in foster care or what have you? I would love to know
Specifically when
the
we're not
answers.
having enough kids as a country.
Well, that's the thing that's wild about it too, is I can understand having ethical concerns about specific forms of reproduction, whether they're straight or gay, like surrogacy, but I cannot understand like waging war against gay families at the same time that these same people all are worried about a population crisis and a lack of births.
Yeah.
Congrats. If you get what you want, the effect would just be fewer children. Okay. And fewer happy families and sad
Well, if
adults,
they got what they want, they want to get rid of I don't know if they would get rid of divorce. That
it probably varies depending on the people. They don't all have the same view.
So yeah, so the realistic thing that's going to happen is that, well, this won't even happen. But if this were to happen, it'll stop there. So the only thing that it's going to do is stop gay people from getting married.
But they could still have children.
But they could still
adopt
children.
or have a surrogate or have a sperm donor.
Correct.
That's a whole different law you would have to pass banning that.
It wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't do anything to help kids.
It makes no sense to say get rid of gay marriage to save the children. Literally, if I was an anti-gay person and I was trying to devise a strategy that made sense, I wouldn't support that.
Well, no, this makes sense to the person who's dumb.
What's not clicking? What's not clicking?
I guess it was just emotionally manipulated.
If people already,
don't have any idea how anything works.
They put the kids in front of it, and then it's the same thing as like, I don't know, they use kids for everything. They literally project this unproven trauma onto kids to push policy positions forward. This is what a lot of like theocratic conservatives will do. It's a part of their playbook. And as much as I want to scoff at it and be like, this just doesn't make any sense, it works sometimes.
Because they're counting on that people aren't smart enough to think critically about it.
And they're using kids who doesn't care about kids. Like, that's why it's so sick.
But it's so to use something to appeal to children's best interests while you're actually advocating for that entire generations of children not exist.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, the opposite.
I find it baffling. I really do. But you guys will have to let us know what you think. Sorry, it's serious. We have to talk about this.
We didn't want
We're
to.
We're not going to shy away from it. The good news is that it's not actually super likely to go anywhere anytime soon. And it doesn't even, I don't even think this has widespread support in the Republican or conservative movement.
No, we just passed the Respect for Marriage Act. Like, even if Obergefell was going to be overturned,
that's the funniest thing.
All we would have to do is, in Florida, is if they ban gay marriage, go to California, get married, and then Florida would be forced to recognize it. That's it.
That's how the Respect for Marriage Act would work if they overturned Obergefell, which they're not going to be able to do. And none of it would make gay people having children illegal.
No.
That's a whole separate thing they would have to try to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't,
doesn't make any sense.
It drives me insane, but that's our take on it. You guys will have to let us know what you think in the comments. Make sure to subscribe, hit the like button. Do consider becoming a channel member to support our work and unlock our fun conversation, unlike this one, which was not super fun at all, with Blair White. That's for members only. But thank you guys, and we will talk again real soon.